¿Qué pasó, mi gente? It's Mark Tip 25 otra vez. Welcome to El Chuco Sportscast. I'm Mark, and that's Mario. How you doing today, bro?
Doing good, man. Enjoying my day off from work. So I work like almost a week. It feels like a week and a half straight at work. But hey, just trying to get that money.
Well, that's good, man. Well, as you could see, I got myself shaved and a bit of a haircut. Yeah, looking all clean shaven. Just I
About
felt I
damn
needed a
time.
change of pace. I looked a little bit too much like a mountain man, so I just wanted to kind of get a little bit clean. But anyway, to start off, I kind of wanted to talk about a topic we've been kind of beating on the past few weeks about the NBA coming back. And Mario, you kind of were finding some information recently as to what they're possibly about to agree on. They haven't voted upon this yet per se, but this is what a lot of teams are coming to a consensus on. So could you kind of give us the lowdown on that?
Well, they were was it commissioner was meeting with the NBA Board of Governors to finalize when they were going to bring the NBA back, or bring the season back. They were talking about as far as how they were going to go about it. Um, I was reading that there was possibility of them doing a few games, a few regular season games, and then go into the playoffs. They were thinking of bringing about 22 teams to Orlando because I guess that's the neutral site they're gonna play at. I guess over there, and but it's like, well, 22 teams,
So what
playoffs.
that
There's
would
only
include, yeah. So what that would include then is, of course, the 16 teams that are in the playoffs, as well as four other teams, but those teams are in the West, and those teams have had a possible shot, of making the eighth seed over the Grizzlies. However, in my opinion, I think that's a bit ridiculous and that complicates a lot of things. Rusty Buckets recently made a video pretty much detailing exactly what we're about to talk about, except I'm probably going to talk a little bit more about financial side, more of that goes against the NBA. And in the moment, I'll put a link in the description for you all to watch that because it was really good, really well said. So yeah, I mean, Rusty Buckets has been putting on a lot of good content as of late. So please, if you ever get a chance, please go to his channel and subscribe, and also subscribe to his podcast as well. After you come in, watch ours and subscribe to ours. But yeah, overall, so you have pretty much the Pelicans, the Spurs, the Trailblazers, and the Kings would be those four teams that would have supposedly had a chance. But in my opinion, it's ridiculous. They had their chance throughout those 60 games to possibly get into that spot. And yes, I get it. This whole pandemic was so unprecedented. Nobody foresaw this happening. But who's to say the outcome would not have ended up the same? And even if any of those four teams would have gotten into the playoffs, who's to say they would have even had a chance against the Lakers? Like, let's not kid ourselves here. That LeBron-led Lakers team with AD it's a good team. There's a reason why they're number one in the West right now. So to sit here and say that, like, the Grizzlies would probably, if at best, get one game off of them. And the same could be said about any of these other four teams. If they get two, whatever. But you know what? Even then, I don't foresee them beating the Lakers. So it's really pointless to just do that instead of just starting in the playoffs. But yeah, what's your take on it?
Well, I mean, like I said, they're thinking about bringing 22 teams. It's not finalized. So you meant six teams, bro. It would be an extra six teams that they bring in to do. Like I said, 16 in the playoffs. Another six is 22.
So wait, are
So
they trying to do what? So what other two teams would they bring?
I don't know, but they were saying the number that I saw was 22.
Oh, I guess I
And
must have misunderstood because a lot of other reports that I've also been seeing have been mentioning those teams. But even then, what are the other teams? Are they teams in the East? Because if that's the case, I don't think that's even remotely. I think the
well,
same would still
yeah,
occur.
they
It just
haven't.
makes no sense.
Well, they haven't, like I said, they haven't specified what other additional teams they would bring in addition to the 16 teams that are already in the playoff slots. But they were saying, the return to play plan was to include a likely 22 team field in Orlando. They say regular season games and a play-in tournament to decide the postseason berths, which is expected to pass in a Thursday board of directors vote. So I'm guessing it will pass this Thursday. Now, I mean, I really don't see why they would have to go the extra steps to give other teams a. I mean, I know you want to give other teams a chance, but I mean, I just feel that it will. Yeah, I just don't know, man. I just feel you should just start the postseason now, or in July. That's when they're expected to do it, and then just finish the season off before the start of football. But I don't know what they're going is. But a play-in tournament to decide postseason berths. It's like you're playing. So it's like the pre-postseason to the postseason. I just don't see how that's going to work. You know what
I
I
I don't
mean?
see how that's going to garner any interest at all. And even if it is, it's a money grab. It has nothing to do with the teams themselves. It has everything to do with the owners trying to get in on those extra TV revenues. But that doesn't benefit anybody because then again, we're still in the midst of this pandemic. We're still trying to be careful. You might as well limit the amount of teams there. You just should just keep it as the eight on the East and West and just start the damn playoffs. Just start the playoffs. Because what if something happens, someone gets sick again, now we have to close the season again and you pretty much just cancel the season at that point. So at that point, just start the playoffs. And then as you were saying, you're going to bleed into other seasons like the other sports like the NFL. You're going to bleed in on their TV revenues and crap. But then again, since the US is a big football nation, football is king here, a lot of ad revenues are going to be taken from the NBA and like TV spots too because people prefer to watch football in this country. So they're really not doing themselves any favors by doing this. They should just stick to the plan of going to the playoffs if they haven't thought of that already, which I don't understand why. And again, I think it's because people are complaining, oh, well, we could have had a chance and blah blah blah. But no, if you really had a chance, you would already have been there. You would have already and that's the thing. And let me say this. If it was the Mavs that was on the outside looking in, I would still want them to start the playoffs. I would still want them to start the playoffs because at this point, it's not about who's in. It's about that you finish the season and get it out of the way so people can recover for the next season. There's a lot of stuff going on, and you're not going to really generate that much extra revenue by doing this weird little pre-playoff situation. It's not going to benefit anybody.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I mean, you look at, and I just don't feel it would be fair for the teams that are in the eighth seed spot, like Memphis and Orlando. They're in the eighth seed spot in their respective conferences.
Hmm.
When, of course, this was when, they suspended on March 11th, right? The
Hmm.
season. But yeah, and now if they're going to do this, they will have to compete for their spots uh for the postseason again. It's like, okay, man, I, I just don't think that's fair to them, having to be the ones to compete for the last spots.
When they
When
already earned it, they already
Yeah, I
earned
mean,
that spot.
so I just don't know, man. I mean, it now it's like now we're gonna. I know that's what the whole point of the regular season is, but I just feel that 2.5 months, almost 3 months have passed, or 3 months are going to pass. And it's like, no, just start the postseason now and just end it, so we can that way you guys can prepare for next year
Yeah, because you
Um,
still have to worry
you know,
about the draft. You still have to worry about free agency. And it's going to suck now because they've lowered the cap. Like, there's going to be a lot of turmoil come free agency, considering where teams are going to go and if they're even going to get a max contract now, which is probably not even going to happen for some players. They were promised a max contract because that's what's in their contract, but that doesn't mean anything now because of this whole situation. And I hope to God players understand that. But that's a side issue. But all I'm saying is, and we obviously agree on this. It's what is the point of doing all this extra hoopla if A, you're really not going to get that much more revenue as it is, and B, it benefits no one. It really benefits nobody.
yeah, I
And in
know.
much less the NBA at this point. So just start the playoffs and let fucking fans say what they will about asterisks and shit, because that's what we explained last week. It doesn't matter who's in the playoffs as long as they earned their spots, which the Grizzlies most certainly did. They have so okay. So riddle me this: who would you rather see? Zion Williamson, who was out half the season. Yeah, he played amazingly, but come on, John Morant right now is definitely on track for the Rookie of the Year. As much as I would have wanted to see Zion play the entire season, it didn't pan out that way. And at this point, you got to cut your losses. John Morant is a really good player, and he's going to be Rookie of the Year. So you would rather like let the Rookie of the Year slide out? Like that makes no sense. That in my opinion is bad. Like as far as like a marketing standpoint, as far as drawing in more revenue, it's definitely
Yeah,
better to have the Grizzlies in there at this point because they're just as deserving, and they really worked their asses off getting to that spot. So I don't know. And then I think a lot of it has to do with like the Trailblazers, with like CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard. It's like, look, they were a good team. They made it to the Western Conference Finals last year, but you all have severely underperformed this season. And I know I really, and I'm going to say this because I really dislike Nick Wright because his views on a lot of things. I don't know, man. He's very LeBron centric about things, and I just don't like it. Like he never really complains about LeBron. He always tries to prop him up over Jordan, and it's just like it's stupid. I hate listening to him. But there's this one clip I did see that I actually agreed with him upon. Like they had their chance to get to that point, but they didn't do it. So at this point, yeah, just start the playoffs, forget about that nonsense because it's not going to serve anybody. Just just play it at this point. We cannot we cannot prolong the season any more than it has, considering we've taken too much time away from it.
yeah. I mean, right about now, the finals would have been starting and or just wrapping up, depending on how you look at it. No, just starting, and it probably would have gone maybe a week or two into June, and then that was it. That's it for the regular season. I mean, for the postseason. So, I mean, yeah, it's hard to know what to expect, but based on what I've been reading here, NBA insiders just posted this thing yesterday about how what is was to be expected, and of course the commissioner is the one that I guess uh put this idea. He put this recommendation to the board of governors, and it's I just don't know what to think of it. There was a growing support between the governors and the commissioner to bring a 22 teams to Disney's the ESPN Worldwide of Sports. Interesting name.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're shooting for July, right? So the format would likely include regular season and playing games to complete the playoff berth, and for both conferences. So then, if that's the case, so 22 teams, so it's including the 16 that are already in the playoff slots as of right now, and then bringing in 6 additional teams, so 3 and 3. I'm guessing from each for each conference to do the play-in to I guess get the lower seeds. I just don't know. So they so what is saying? they've yet to endorse it. So and only one of the ideas presented is no longer believed to be a legitimate consideration, which the previous idea was to bring back all 30 teams for the playoff. I mean,
Yeah, that
for
would have been even worse.
right. And with the 22 team plan, it says it would include teams that are currently within 6 games of the final playoff spots in each conference. So that's what they're going for, is games that are within 6 games of the final playoff spots. That's why they're doing a 22 team format to bring this back. So I mean, I can see that, but at the same time, yeah, I don't know, man. I just think it's just going to be extra time that I feel that the NBA does not have when it comes to trying to finish this season up. I don't know. And based on what that says, what do you think?
I still disagree. Like, they had their chance to make the playoffs. Again, I understand this is unprecedented. It was out of anybody's control. But at this point, you're wasting time. You're wasting time, and the revenues are really not going to improve that much by doing that. They really are not. Just start the playoffs. I hope that this dies and that they renegotiate to where it's just the playoffs. That's my hope. But you know what? Nobody gives a shit what us fans think or any of these other NBA YouTubers think, which is bullshit, because they could really learn a lot from what the fans actually want instead of this nonsense. Just start the playoffs. You're not going to gain any more revenue than you've already lost. So just do what you can, finish the season, yeah. And
Yeah.
that's really all I have to say on that matter. And
I mean,
also,
yeah.
and also part of it is, again, like, I'm still working on my videos, and it might mess up my videos a little bit. But you know what? I still feel a lot of the outcomes are going to be the same. I really still feel the outcomes that I have laid out are going to be pretty much the same, no matter who's in that 8th seed. So I don't know. I just think it's pointless to do that.
Right. Well, so the teams that they're looking to, I guess, bring into this mix to fight for the 8th seed spot would be the Pelicans, the Suns, the Trailblazers, the Kings, and the Spurs. They would land,
That's what I said.
they would land in Orlando under those guidelines. So with the Wizards joining us, the only team within 6 games of the 8th seed in the East. I mean,
You see, that's so lopsided. It's stupid. Just
yeah,
fucking start the playoffs. Stop it. At this point, it's pointless, dude. That's what
yeah,
I'm telling you.
yeah. But now they're saying that there's also another proposal for 20 teams, just to be only 20 teams. So that would only include uh, New Orleans, Portland, San Antonio, and Sacramento. So, I
But
mean,
no
it
team
could
on the
be
East. Do you
looks
see how
that way.
stupid? You see how stupid that is? Either
Yeah,
way, the East is not in there. The East is not going to be in favor. That's dumb. It doesn't
yeah.
matter. It does not matter what supposedly fun or um, creative way they go about this. It's not. It doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. Just start the playoffs.
Right. And I like I said, I agree with you on that. And I'm sure there's others, but you know who's been pushing to have several regular season games before the playoffs start, which I'm kind of surprised with, is the NBPA. They are stressing to have
And
several
I
regular
bet you
season
some
games
of those
played prior to
players.
it.
Bet you some of those players are on the teams that are not even in. I bet you some of them are not even in there
Maybe. I
because
mean,
yeah, I bet because I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, it's either C.J. McCollum or Damian Lillard that's on there, and they're on the Trailblazers on the outside looking in. Dude, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You fucked up. You should have competed a little bit better, and you can claim, oh well, we didn't have Nurkic. So what, dude? You made it to the conference finals without Nurkic. Don't give me this excuse that you couldn't have done it without him. You could have. So that's why I think that's ridiculous. And with the Pelicans, the only reason I kind of feel a little bit for the Pelicans is because, yes, they were without Zion for the majority of the season. But you know what? players got to step up at that point. I'm sorry, like that's just how it is. If you really wanted to compete, you would have stepped up, and they did well for the most part in keeping themselves close. But even then, it's just like it is what it is, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and there was a recent survey with this scenario. They said about they did a survey with all 30 general managers in the league, and they 16 of them said that they would prefer the league to come back with just the typical 16 playoff teams. So
So they're split.
yeah, with the teams and seating based on the standings as of right now, when the season was suspended. So and I think that's great, but yeah, that and I think that's the board of governors feel the same way because there's like this report is saying it looks like it would be in favor of the 22 team format. I just I think the general managers. I think I agree with the general managers on this. This is just to start the playoffs, like I said, what like we've been saying all this time. So I mean, you know, uh,
They're just complicating stuff. And again,
yeah,
it all goes back to trying to get extra revenue, but that's not going to happen. You're really not going to get that much extra revenue.
yeah. So like I said, to reiterate, there was one of four potential return to play options here. And and unfortunately, the one that we don't agree with seemed to earn more votes than the other three options combined. So from what I see here, well, it's listing only three. One, resume the regular season with all 30 teams, followed by a play-in tournament that got 8 votes. Two, going straight to the playoffs with either a play-in tournament or a World Cup style group stage, which would 5 votes. And three, resume the regular season with all 30 teams and then go straight to the playoffs. They got 1 vote. So, uh, you know, it just
Yeah, doing 30 teams, dude, especially those teams that are bottom feeders like the Golden State Warriors, their season's over, man. Just let them fucking rest and recoup for next season. Seriously, there's no point in this. Just let them be, complete the season. Like, I mean, just go to the playoffs, finish it out, and regroup because you are not going to have much time to prepare for the draft and for free agency. You're not going to have much time. And again, by the time you're finished, you're probably going to be right on, like, butting heads with the NFL for television time and news time. That's what I'm saying. Like, it makes no sense. Just
yeah, I
start the
know.
playoffs. And I'm going to keep repeating it. And I know it doesn't seem like I've given any valid argument, but I have. You're not going to get any definite revenue. You're going to increase risk of people getting sick by adding more teams instead of just keeping it as the simple 8 on the East, 8 on the West. You're pretty much wasting more time for other players and other sports. Just keep it simple. Keep it simple. But they're not going to because, of course, they think they know more. That's just how they think they know more. And I'm not saying that I'm anybody of value to tell them what to do, but just it's common sense. You know what I mean? It really is common sense. You're not going to gain anything by doing this, and by being creative in that regard. And by the way, that whole play-in tournament shit, that has already been discussed throughout this season. And a lot of people were not interested in it. So I don't see why that is going to change from here to now. You know what I mean? It makes
Right.
no sense.
Yeah, it's still a bit of a mess, man. Uh it's like these guys are trying to squeeze, you know, it's like they're still worried about the bottom line. A lot of these owners and the league, and uh,
And I get it, but if you just let it start in the playoffs, people will watch. People will watch. It
I mean
doesn't
the
like
player.
because all this other stuff is just not going to benefit anybody. Yeah, we all miss our basketball, but we want it done in a way that's just simple and it it there's no problems, no hitches. Because what if okay, Let's just say they come back and they do this play-in stuff. Let's say that Ja Morant freaking messes something up, like his leg or something, during one of these play-ins. Now the Grizzlies have lost their chance to compete now, even though they were originally the 8th seed. That chance was just pretty much robbed of them. Instead of just letting it happen within the playoffs, they now have robbed that team of a chance, even though they had already earned it by that time. So at this point, just let it go. Just stop trying to cater to certain players. Just just let it play out, because you're wasting your own time and your own resources by doing this. It complicates everything. Just keep it simple.
Yeah. I mean, just reading what these reports say, I just feel like, yeah, they're trying to, I feel, complicate it more so than they need to, because I just feel just starting the playoffs right when July comes around would be the best thing to do moving forward. But of course, the teams that are close to the bottom spot still want a chance to see if they can get in, and I get that, but I don't know. I don't know what's the right decision to make.
Okay, you know how you could prove that? By next year. Prove it again next year. If you really thought you were that good, prove it next year. That's all I got to say. Just prove it next year, because at this point you're wasting everybody's time. Because what if you go in and you lose and the Grizzlies still end up being the 8th seed? You wasted that all for nothing. You know what I mean? You wasted all of that time for absolutely no reason. So just let them play the damn postseason.
Well, I mean, you can't say it was for no reason. The reason was to try to get into the playoffs.
No, but what I'm saying is, if the Grizzlies win, there was no point, because they were already in there. And they just proved that they were good enough. And to say that, oh, well, then are you scared that they're not good enough if they do it? Well, no, because it's a waste of time, and it makes no sense. The Grizzlies earned that spot, and I have a feeling they still would have maintained that, personally, based on how well they were doing. They were still doing fine. So just let them play.
I guess we'll find out we'll find out by this Thursday, see whether or not what's going to be the course of action with this. So we can, like I said, we'll have to wait till then. But
I mean, I'll be glad when basketball's back, but I have a feeling they're just gonna add extra nonsense to this whole thing. But yeah, that's just how I feel about it. I think they should just start the playoffs. All of this is ridiculous. Yes, does it make for interesting conversation? Yeah, but otherwise, no. It's pointless.
Well, like I said, we'll see.
Yeah. So the next thing I want to talk about, and again, this is mainly a sports channel. In most of my stuff and most of my time in life, I try not to be political, because I feel it has always given me nothing but issues. Because it always feels like no matter how many times you try to talk to people, they will not listen. But hopefully this gets something across. This channel I made for sports to have fun. Whether it takes off and becomes big matters not to me. This is just for fun. But right now, I just want to say something about the whole situation that's going down right now. The whole situation with police brutality and with George Floyd is maddening. And then also with the protesters, whether they be rioters or true peaceful protesters, being beaten, shot with rubber bullets and tear gas, it's fucking upsetting, okay? And I do not want to hear in the comments, oh, well, they shouldn't be rioting, they shouldn't be. Bullshit. We've heard that for so long in this country, but every time there was actual peaceful protests, they were still getting arrested. They were still getting shot at. They were still getting harassed. So it does not matter what they do. They are damned if they do, and they are damned if they don't. So maybe fucking white people need to stop telling people of color how to protest. Okay? That needs to stop. And last I checked, the fucking Boston Tea Party is a bunch of people looting, rioting, and damaging property. That's part of our fucking country's history. So you're saying that's un-American? That's pretty funny to me. But overall, I'm utterly tired of arguing with people who think they know everything about the situation when they live in a bubble of privilege. Stick to what you know and shut the fuck up. Okay? Shut the fuck up. Because you are not helping the situation. You are creating more divide. You are making it worse. Instead of talking and yammering, how about you listen to those people? How about you listen to what's going on? And again, we have video evidence about people that are just walking and are still getting arrested for no reason. Yet we have people who go to the Capitol building with fucking guns and who are again white and don't get shot at or even reprimanded. They're yelling in these cops' faces, being aggressive, and the cops don't do shit about that. But as soon as these peaceful protesters are out there fucking doing their shit, or even rioters, they fucking shoot at them. Where is the equality? That's injustice. That is not anything that is helping this cause to create equality in this country. When you keep letting that perpetuate, when police officers are not fair and are being corrupted into doing this bullshit, and when police officers, supposedly good police officers, are not doing their job and standing up for what is right, and then you fire those that actually do. No, that should not happen. You should listen to those police officers because they know what it is to take to protect its citizens. Listen to those police officers who are willing to stand with people of color and create something that is going to better themselves. Not this bullshit of like, oh, well, they shouldn't have resisted. Oh, well, none of that. None of that. Because they have done as white people have asked. They have already done that, and it has done nothing. So again, at this point, people need to shut up and listen and watch and not freaking criticize shit because they do not know what it is like. It is getting to the point where I don't care if you're a friend, family, or even fan on any of my stuff. If you continue to try and argue with me about that bullshit, you can sure as hell guarantee that I'm going to unfollow you, delete you, and not speak to you again. I do not care who you are. Because we have seen so much crap in this country go down, and nobody has done a thing about it but criticize the victims. And I'm tired of it. That's my announcement on that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. I mean, look, I don't condone violence, especially ones that loot and destroy property. But I understand why it happens and where it's coming from, because all of that injustice, that fear, that anger, that, for people that's been wronged for so long, it's just been bottled up for so long, and it finally explodes. So, I mean, I don't like it. I don't think it's right, but I understand why it's happening. All that frustration, that anger is being unleashed at, because too many times, the same thing has happened again and it's never been resolved. Um, you know, but of course, I also feel for the ones that own businesses, small businesses that are trying to make a living, and their property gets destroyed and they lose their livelihood. That's why I feel that, protesters should be like, you know what, doing this is not to my fellow man, to my fellow citizen who is in the trenches with me. That won't help the situation. So that's
Well,
why I
Mario,
feel
as I just
I
explained to you, dude, it does not matter because you can always replace shit. That
well,
shit
the
can
ones
always
that
be
can't,
replaced.
I know, but the
Lives
ones that
cannot.
can,
Lives
I
cannot be
know,
replaced.
but you
That's
gotta
the
understand.
whole issue here. That is the
But you
whole
gotta
issue.
understand. I know, but you gotta understand. Some people's lives will be destroyed through that because they lose their livelihood because they can't afford to repair. That's one aspect. Um, so I mean, it just that's what I'm saying. That begets violence begets more violence, and it's just a never ending downward spiral. That's why
Mario, at this point, again, as I just stated, they're damned if they do, and they're damned if they don't. It does not matter if they're peaceful or they're violent. That's the shitty problem. That's why I'm tired of people telling them how to protest. If they want to riot, let them fucking riot. Because at this point, they've earned that right to do that. Because they have taken enough bullshit in this country.
I'm not
And like
telling someone how
we
to
have just
riot.
gone that entire time with Colin Kaepernick taking a knee for this exact reason, and nobody listened to him, and everyone fucking degraded him as, oh, he's just a fucking failed quarterback who's just trying to get attention. And that's not the fucking case. He was trying to prove that there is an issue in this country that has been going on for decades upon decades, even before Trump. But the problem is Trump keeps perpetuating this and has not done anything to really quell this. Except
right.
to say, well, if they're going to continue this, we'll just shoot them up ourselves. Like, really, dude?
Well, neither has his predecessors either, so he's not.
But again, Mario, Trump has created an atmosphere of extreme hatred in this country.
Yes, hatred has always been there, man.
Mario, but it has been grown to extremes.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I know, but they want to believe that he started it. No, he didn't start it. He just, he, like you said, he made it worse. And that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, look, it's been happening for decades. He's not the first president, nor will he be the last.
No, but see, that's the problem, Mario. We're trying to make sure that this is the last time.
I know, but how do we know? I want it to be the last time too, but we don't know if it will. If we can get someone that will put an end to it and actually address the problem that's been ignored for decades, it's, you would expect the previous presidents to do something about it, and they don't. They don't, and that's why it's so frustrating.
But at the point, Mario, at this point, what can they really do at this point? Nothing. They can't do anything at this point because they're not the president right now. Who's the president right now?
I know, but I'm saying
Trump he doesn't stop. He's making things worse. He doesn't stop. And the problem is nobody in his constituency is putting the stops on him. They just let it happen because they want this divide.
Well, that goes for that goes for all the Congress. They don't want to do a damn thing about it because why? Gaslighting people, putting people against each other. It makes it's agenda for them to it works for their agenda, and I think also they do it out of their own amusement, and that's really, how sickening is that? I'm not telling anyone how to protest or how to go about this. That's their right. That's the right they give. That's why Colin Kaepernick did what he did, to show he was demonstrating his way of protesting, and it was peaceful, and there was nothing offensive about it, nothing. But people want to make a big thing about, you're disrespecting the flag, our country, our veterans. No, he's not. Because I've talked to veterans that I've befriended, actual, veterans that are no longer in service or that are still in the service, and they're like, look, man, I gave my life and sacrificed for this country so that everyone, including Colin Kaepernick, can exercise his rights. And what he's doing, he's exercising his rights, and that's what I fought to protect. So he's not disrespecting me in the slightest. And that was very reassuring and refreshing to hear from actual veterans and service men and women in the military that are active to say that. So for these people that are saying he's disrespecting the flag and veterans, no, they're full of it, because that's not true. And if there's some veterans and military veterans that feel that way, then you've missed the whole point of accepting your oath to protect this country, because your oath says that you will protect and uphold the Constitution of the United States. And what he's doing, he's exercising his right that's within the Constitution. And if you disagree with that, then you have completely missed why you took your oath. So,
But see, and these cops are missing the reason why they got into the force, to protect and serve its people.
Yeah. And
there's been so many instances, and you can say all these white people that freaking want to argue, oh well, they just only show you the bad cops. You know what, dude? Because it's becoming more and more of an occurrence. And
It's
yes,
always been
there
there.
have been some videos of cops trying. I don't disrespect that, but at the same time, some of it is starting to look very much like a PR job. That it's not really helping the situation. They're just trying to quell it so they can continue their bullshit. That's just
Some,
what I'm seeing now. And at
well,
this
there's
point,
some that
they
do.
need to
Yeah.
get it together and stop harassing people, until
There's some
something is
that,
actually fucking changed. And at
there's
this point,
some,
I'm not gonna tell people how to do anything. I just want freaking people to listen to the people that are being harassed and the protesters at this point, because they are going through a lot of shit right now. And
yeah,
we
I
need there
mean,
something definitely needs to change, and it's not happening. That's
well,
that's
yeah.
just my whole situation on the matter. And
Yeah, well, I know it's look. There's some departments I'm sure they're doing it for PR stunts to make it look like, oh no, we're good. But there's some departments that legitimately like, no, there's some that have not forgotten. Hey, we took our oath to protect and uphold the Constitution and to serve our citizens because by law and the way it's structured, they are public servants that we pay. The citizens pay their salary, and their job is to protect and serve the public. And unfortunately, there's some departments that are corrupt, and the culture and the way the system is set up nationwide is so messed up and corrupt that unfortunately, and it's true that a lot of these officers are made to protect and serve the rich, the ones that have the deep pockets, the ones that give money and funding to their departments. And that is very upsetting because it's like with Congress. Cronyism and corruption have infiltrated where corporations have taken over and pay off all of our congressmen to do their bidding. And the same thing applies with a lot of departments across the country. Not all of them, but a good portion of them. So there's some legitimate officers and departments that have not forgotten their oath, and they're there to make sure you have the right to protest. We're here to make sure that it's done safely and peacefully.
well, it
And
needs to
unfortunately,
happen more
that's not.
often, and that's the
I
problem.
know it does. I know it does. But like what was happening in Fort Worth, a lot of them, I saw a lot of them. A lot of them were kneeling in respect because of what's going on, and they were talking to the public, and hugging them and getting along, show, hey, we're not the enemy here. Cops should not be the enemy because they were made to protect us. But unfortunately, because like I said, a lot of departments have a lot of corruption and been bought up by very powerful people, they have become the enemy. And that breaks my heart to see because, we have family in law enforcement. They're trying to do the right thing every day. And I'm sure it is stressful and hard when they're surrounded by people that are bullies and corrupt as hell that they have to deal with. Like our stepdad had to deal with that for 30 years. And then one of our friends that lives in you remember Sean, right? Sean Stockwell.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's working out in Kermit, Texas, man, as an officer. He became one. And I think about him too. So, serve, and I'm sure he's having to deal with this crap. So for all the ones that I say to this, for all the officers out there that joined the force to protect and uphold the Constitution and protect and serve the people, I would say you see something wrong. You see a fellow officer doing the wrong thing, harassing people, giving people hard time, arresting them without um, probable cause. They're just minding their own business. Do the right thing and call them out. Report them, make it known like, hey, you don't do that shit here. We're here to protect and serve you,
Exactly.
not
Don't
harass
abuse
and
your
and
power. Use your power for
exactly.
good.
Yes, and it's tough for the ones that are trying to do that when you have a department that's corrupt or superiors that are corrupt and they fire you or harass you and smear you for doing the right thing, and that's wrong. So for all the good officers out there that are trying to do the right thing, I wish you know you do your jobs as safely as you can, and you work to de-escalate situations because that's what we were taught as kids. They're there protect the peace and de-escalate situations in order for nothing bad to happen. But it seems like the exact opposite is being happening. So I I, I wish them nothing but, you know, how do I say this? You know, that they stay safe out there, do the right thing, and protect the ones that are trying to make their voices be heard, and and call out and go after the ones that are doing wrong. Not, I mean, in law enforcement and among your ranks, but also among the public, because there are provocateurs within the protesters trying to start trouble and make the protesters look like they're just being uh, ruthless and reckless for no reason. You know, there are provocateurs among the crowd's plants from corrupt law enforcement agencies that are doing this just to make the protesters look bad. It's true. There's been cops that have been planted, you know, among the protesters to do those very things to give officers a reason to harass and do that. And that's sad, man. That's why the good cops that are out there call that out. You know, you join the force to protect. Do it. Be true to your word. Be true to your oath. Because if you don't, if you allow that to continue to happen, then you are complicit in those actions, and right then that you have violated your oath. And if that's the case, then you have no business being in law enforcement. Like I said, I don't mean no disrespect for the honest officers that do their job right, but be complicit and allow this to continue. Because if you do, then nothing will change. So that's what I have to say.
Well, that's what all I had to say for my deal on this. It's very saddening. I'm still very frustrated about this whole entire thing, and hopefully I can be able to do what I can, and I hope people can tell me what I can do to help the situation rather than just make assumptions. But as far as the police force, I really cannot trust a lot of them anymore, because yes, there may be some, but it's become so far and few. So at this point, I'm just going to listen to what people who have been wronged have to say, because they're the ones being wronged right now.
Right.
That's all I
Right.
have to say on that.
Right. I respect that. I mean, yeah, you're right. I can't really trust, you know, the law enforcement much anymore like I did before, because like I said, this problem never really went away. It's just being filmed more. It's being filmed because now everyone's got a phone, it's got a camera. We have the ability to record instantly, and it's you know they can't hide anymore. They can't hide from this anymore because we have the power to let the world know about this on an individual basis. So yes, it breaks my heart. We can't trust the ones that were meant to protect us, because yeah, there's not enough good people behind the badge, wearing the badge to put a stop to, because the moment they try, a lot of them will be smeared and harassed, and even go to extent of being fired, and that's sad. But I know I'll still keep the faith that that'll change, and it's a cultural thing too. The way they're being trained now is not the same like the way our stepdad was trained, because this because everything that he taught to us when we were kids, and how he had to deal with and what he had to deal with and how he was trained, what we see now is completely different. It's not the same. So even the time is also a thing, how things have changed from decade to decade. But things have got to change, and unfortunately, if they don't, then it could get to the point where people are thinking, oh, there's a chance where a civil war may break out again. I don't want that to happen, but with things going on like this, anything can happen. So let's keep the faith that we can try to make the world a better place by trying to have people's voices be heard. Because like you said earlier, it's all about, you can talk all you want, but if you don't stop and listen and really get to know people's stories and why they're doing this and why they feel this way, you never will learn, and it's just the problem will just persist. So I just hope that people up and listen to where we can all we all have to have civil discord, be able to have formal and structural conversations about these issues in order to come to the best solution possible, and that will in turn lead to hopefully results in making this world a better place. So, listening is a big thing.
Yeah. Well, overall, people of color have my support. I'm I'm white skinned, but I'm Hispanic, and I it really bothers me when I see other people of color being racist towards each other as well. I just think it's very disheartening when we can all come together and fight this issue all together. So please support each other and please listen to each other. Don't talk smack, just listen. But that's all I have to say on that. Let's change the topic to something that's more uplifting, more fun. Overall, I've still been watching for TV shows What We Do in the Shadows. Have you like tried to watch an episode?
Trying to get back into Netflix, but there's a lot of shows on there that it's like, I don't know, they just don't seem
Well, this
to
one's not
stand
on
out to
Netflix.
me.
This one's on Hulu.
Oh, Hulu. I haven't been on Hulu in a while, but even then, Hulu and Netflix, they have quite a bit of stuff on there, but there's a lot of movies I look and I'm like, what is this? There's a lot of movies I haven't heard, or I look at the ratings, and even though I'm just curious, let's just watch this, let's see what it is, and I just look at it's like a B or C or D movie, and I'm like,
You're gonna run into
yeah.
that, but some of them are like originals. Some of them are, yeah. That's just it is what it is. They're trying to get their stuff out there, and Hulu is just one of those avenues that they can get it through. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I was, you would think that there would be a lot more grade A movies
And
out there.
there
Like
are,
we're used to
well, but
watching.
see, here's the thing. You're going to find a lot more of the grade A movies on Netflix, and you're going to find a lot more of the grade A shows on Hulu. See, that's why you have both. You kind of have to jump back and forth between. And there's some good stuff on on
Yeah,
Netflix, but the only problem with Netflix is sometimes they don't have all the seasons. So,
I guess it's just I don't know, man. Lately, for the past few years, I just guess I've just been turned off by movies because I've just come to see how fake Hollywood is, and
well, but
it's
yeah,
just
but Zine, I mean, there's some stuff that is good to watch, like some of those biopics by like Elton John and Freddie Mercury, yeah, they're not always going to get everything 100% right, especially with the Freddie Mercury one, only because Freddie's dead. We can't really get his side of things. And Brian May, we can only see things from his angle. So I don't know. Yes, there are things that are not 100% accurate, but are you ever going to be 100% accurate? And granted, yes, I wish there was more honesty within our film industry, but sometimes, and it's sad to say, sometimes honesty is not always entertaining, which is bullshit to me, but I don't know. That's just how people see it. Um,
Yeah, well, I just the way the culture is of Hollywood is what I mean. What they do behind the scenes and all that. I'm just like, you know, that's why I don't
well,
care
I
to watch.
mean,
That's why I haven't gone to like a movie theater to watch movies every now and then. But it's like the past 5 years when big movies come, I just lost interest in going. I mean, if I feel up
plus
to
you can always wait for the movie to come out and watch it on those services anyway. So it's
right. But I mean, like the whole, like as growing up, the whole like, oh, go to the theater to watch a big movie on the big screen. It's just, I don't know. It just, I just lost interest in that. I don't know how to explain it, man. There's just, like I said, the culture of Hollywood and a lot of things that you read about and find out about, like in some dark shit that you're like, "Ugh," you know, I don't know. But I mean, I'll watch. I'll still browse to see what's good. But one genre of movies that just seems to be so bad now, uh, is a lot of the suspense and horror movies. It's just, and then and then also like there's a lot of movies I've seen like the alien invasion movies. There's just so many B and C movies that I come across. It's just for those genres. I'm just like, okay, it just feel like there's nothing original. It just seems so half-assed now. I don't know. I
well,
mean, I
Mario,
know
within the
budget
horror
budget has to
thriller,
do.
within the horror, thriller, sci-fi, all that shit genre, like this, there's really not much you can do with those. There really isn't, because the premise of horror movies is that people are stupid, and not to say that some people aren't, but are they really that stupid? Eh, it's tough to say, but at the same time, it's just like, I don't know, because if they weren't that stupid, how else would
Stupid
the
how?
story progress? You know what? You know what I mean? How else would
What's
the
stupid?
story progress? Otherwise, there's no story.
You mean
But
stupid how?
maybe
Like the
maybe that's
characters?
just the fault of the writers that don't know how to create content in a better way.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, you remember growing up how we used to watch, we always watched sci-fi, and back then they had some good stuff on sci-fi. Like really stuff that people put into really, really that were really creative and really like, original, and it was good stuff. Now I just feel like for the past maybe 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 years, sci-fi is just, I don't know, man. It's just there's just a lot of shows that I don't think they really think through, and it's like, what is this? It's just some of the shows I come across on stuff is just so bad, and I just like, I don't know, man. Maybe it's just, I know people can. I know there's a lot of people that can do better, but I'm sure there's a lot of those that make movies may not have a big enough budget or have the funding or equipment to do it, and I get that, but it's just like, I just feel that you could do it. Like even movies like that Sharknado series, dude. I'm like, what? I was like, why? Wow. I mean, I understand that it's supposed to be funny. Ones that have no timeline or plot or storyline for some, but there's just some where it's like they just like they didn't even bother, just like threw it all together. Let's sell. All right, let's just sell this. I'm just like, okay, dude. I mean, I just feel a lot of, nowadays there's a lot of people in the industry that don't put enough effort into uh being they don't put enough effort into being creative about something, and they just throw things together and they consider that like, oh, job well done. It's like, no, come on, man. I mean, as artists like you and me, musicians that are trying to make something good, something authentic, it kind of, it kind of like, it's like now that being not putting enough effort into your craft is being acceptable, or people don't have to work as hard. I mean, I just find that kind of like upsetting. If you create something, like if you create something, go all the way, man. Like put all your effort into it. It's like, hey, this is mine. I want it to be the best, to stand out above everybody else. That's why I kind of feel with movies as of late. Not saying that there aren't like some of the big ones, sure, but some small ones, I know you can do better. But like I said,
Yeah,
I mean, I know
I
there's a
don't know,
lot of
dude. It's
factors. There's
because,
a lot of factors.
sorry, my computer was dying. um, well, the thing about that, Mario, is that a lot of times people are on a time schedule. They want something done in a certain amount of time. And I mean, that's just how life is. You're working on a time frame, and you can't always get your ideas as quickly as you want them or portrayed as you want them. And sometimes you have to cut certain things that would have probably made sense within the scheme of things, but for the sake of time, you had to cut it out.
Right,
I don't
I
know. That's
know.
just how I see it.
But it's like, how can you allow true creativity to flourish if you always
Because
put a
time is
timeline?
money. It is what it is. As much
Right,
as
and
you
it
want to, I mean, and that's why for me to be a bigger YouTuber, I have to get stuff out quicker. Right now, it's tough right now because me being able to edit all this by myself is very time consuming. And
oh
that's
yeah,
like,
I know.
I mean, that's the good thing about this podcast is I already have a template set up, and all it is just me talking. If I have to edit a couple things, I'll edit a couple of things. But otherwise, it's really easy to work with, as far as a podcast is concerned. But for my actual videos, oh my gosh, it's just because I have to first of all research the information I'm talking about. And even if I'm not doing any research, I still have to create the audio dialogue, find photos that fit within the scheme of what I'm talking about to make it entertaining. And yes, that does take time. But you know what? if I were to finally get like 1,000 subscribers or more and be a part of the community that earns money doing this, they would probably expect me to churn out a lot more videos in a more timely manner. And that's very hard to do. So I
Right.
just got to
I
figure
understand.
out how to
Right.
go about that.
Right. I understand. Well, podcast, yeah, it's simple. You just record and we just talk about stuff. It's very simple. But if you're making a video, as far as like doing like something like if you're doing a recording, playing a game, of course, depending on how long you're going to have to cut some up for, to make it not so long and add some effects in it to make it kind of funny. And same thing with anything, any kind of content, like you see all these YouTubers do. And of course, like I said, yeah, doing it by yourself is not easy. It takes a lot of time, but that's why I'm sure a lot of people hire editors to help them do that. And it would be
Yeah, but
cool if there was,
see, it would be
and
nice to do
I,
that, but I'm not at that stage. Hopefully someday, but yeah, I'm not at that.
well, I mean, we can all look into that because there's even some guys some editors that do editing for more than one YouTuber. I know, like some
Yeah, but
guys
it
that I
ain't
watch,
cheap, man.
I know, I'm sure it ain't cheap, but we can find out how they do it and if they charge how much. But the thing is, there's programs to where we can do it ourselves. And yes, it may take time. And hopefully, when we get better equipment, it'll be a lot easier for us to do it. Because right now, what we lack is processing power and graphics. Because since our computers are outdated, so
Hmm.
hopefully, when we get new equipment, it'll be a lot easier for us to do it. Because there's even some YouTubers that do it themselves, and because of the equipment they have, it's easy. It's a lot it takes up a lot less time for them to do it themselves. So like I said, we'll get there. We'll get there. Like I said, I just been trying to get money and put away. That's why I've been working a lot of hours. But I'm trying to create some introduction videos for my channels and then go from there, just saying what I'm going to record. Um, like I said, I was trying to get some video editing software, but my computer's too old for it. So I'll see what I can do with iMovie in the time being because there's people that use iMovie and it works well. So I'll see about that. But like I said, it's a work in progress. We'll get there. It's just with all this craziness going on, kind of puts a damper on things because trying to make sure what we still have income, so we can still be able to do this on our free time. So.
Yeah. I'm but see, yeah, we've kind of gone off topic on that one, but yeah, overall, What We Do in the Shadows is a really good show. I really think you should watch it. It's a comedy. It's a really funny show. Another show I've been watching is Polar Opposites. No, sorry, not Polar Opposites. Solar Opposites. My bad. And it's pretty much Rick and Morty. It's like how you have Family Guy and American Dad. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
Solar Opposites is to Rick and Morty. It's kind of like that, except Solar Opposites kind of revolves around four aliens that are trying to just live on planet Earth until they they conquer it, but in their time being, they're just being on Earth, right? Trying to live the Earth life. But yeah, it's really ridiculous, and I think you should watch it. And also, if you haven't watched Rick and Morty, dude, you're missing out on a lot. It is a really good show. It's utterly ridiculous, but it is really funny.
I'll check it out. You said it's on Hulu, right?
Yeah, it's on Hulu.
All right, I'll have to log in and check that out then. Because I mean, I watched it on and off, and it's like, there's something that's like, I don't know, but
Well, dude, it's
of
because you
course,
got to
everyone was,
expand your horizons. I know sometimes it's ridiculous, but that's the funny part of it. That's what makes Rick and Morty tick. It is so ridiculous. So that's you kind of just have to kind of go at it with an open mind.
yeah, I'll check it out. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I found funny. It's just never got into it, so I'll check it out.
Hmm.
And, but there's a lot to scroll from, so I'll continue to find something that'll be entertaining. Um, but yeah, I'll definitely check out those recommendations.
Hmm. Yeah, and I'm very excited to watch few different things. But right now, another thing I'm kind of concerned about right now is that I'm getting into the Census Bureau as as a job, and I hope to goodness it goes well. I mean, it's an 8-week deal, and I just hope it goes well right now. And I'm not certain how it's going to affect my time schedule with doing the podcast, but I guess I'll make announcements if there's like a time conflict, just to let people
Right.
know. But
8 weeks, so that's 2 months. So
yeah, but
18
I'm just
out.
still need to hear from them and see what I need to do as far as training and all that. So that's just where I'm at right now, and I still need to finish those other videos. And
Right.
since Ashley's going to Austin for a few days to do her work at the clinic, and then I'm going to be here, I might as well just really take that time and dig in and try and finish those videos for A, this channel, and then B, for my other channel, because yeah, that other channel, like I said, I'm going to do the critique on the Masked Singer, like the season 3 Masked Singer. But
Right.
yeah, as far as shows, that's really all I've been looking at. Well, actually, there is another show I've seen. It's a little strange. It's okay, but it's a little strange. It's Golan the Insatiable. It's another cartoon, um,
Okay.
and it's about this like demon from another dimension that again lives in like suburban Minnesota and tries to fit in, and it's just ridiculous because the daughter of that family is always trying to be like, yeah, he's my overlord and all this bullshit. It's really funny, but I mean, otherwise, I don't know, because the first season was interesting, but then the second season was like a reboot of sorts. So I don't know why they call it a second season. They should have just called it a reboot. But yeah,
Okay. Like I said, that's a lot that I'll definitely be browsing through to consider watching for sure.
hmm
But yeah, man. I'm just like I said, I'm just trying to get moving on my channel. I was just trying to situate some steady income, and luckily I have been. So I'll with these days off I got, I'll start moving on that as soon as I can,
but
so
yeah,
that way I can start putting content out.
yeah, most definitely, man. But yeah, really, that's all I had to talk about for today. Just the stuff with the NBA. I just wanted to get all that stuff about the Black Lives Matter movement and all that off my chest because I felt it needed to be said. And again, I give my full support to all people of color, and I want to listen to you. I'm a Hispanic male, but I'm white skinned, so obviously people don't see me in the same light. And earlier when I said I hate it when people of color are racist to each other, it's mainly when I see videos of like Latino kids freaking saying the N word and all that stuff, man. That really grinds my gears because it's like we shouldn't be saying that shit. There shouldn't be that kind of hatred, vitriol, racism in this country. And we all have a part into being better people on that and just listening. So, with that being said, I on my social media I put like Blackout Tuesday, where my stuff is just black on my profile pictures and stuff because I just I want to show my support, and I hope that people I connect with and talk to can really help me figure out how to be of assistance. But anyhow, that's really all I had for today. Did you have anything else, bro?
No, I no, I'm pretty much good for today. Like I said, please continue to support this channel and all our other channels, especially music, especially in this hard time. Try to support local artists and musicians that are struggling to make a living. If there's one thing that we need more in this world, is we need a lot more music, so we can bring love and harmony to this time of what do you call it, disharmony and discord. We need that. So I will do my best to get on trying to put stuff out there to hopefully do the same. And like I said, well, it's a work in progress. We'll get there, and hopefully you guys like what we do, and please recommend anything you would like us to do in the future, so that way we can do it, and hopefully you guys enjoy that.
Alrighty, well, ándale pues. Suscríbete a mi canal y hasta el próximo, mi gente. Adiós. Bye
Adios.
bye.